This is so bad. I need to like actually look up some of my books because I'm not sure which ones they are. Oh wait, no. Okay, I know which one that is. Oh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am honestly a little bit nervous for the task that I am going to be doing for today's video. And honestly, that is going to be rearranging my bookshelves and also counting all the books that I have. I would really love to know the total amount of books I have, how many of those books I've read, how many I haven't read, and then also seeing how many books I have that are ARCs. This year was the year that I ended up going and getting a lot of physical ARCs sent to me because of publisher programs. So I'm a little bit curious to go and see all these different numbers. How many of these books were ones that I haven't read, how many were ARCs, just all the nitty gritty. And you know me, I don't like numbers. However, I do really like numbers when they involve books. Really weird, I know. But you might have seen my video last year where I ended up going and using my scanner that my partner got for me to go and scan all of the books that I have. I've kind of fallen behind on this, and honestly, I just feel like the count wouldn't be accurate if I went and rescanned a lot of the newer books I'm aware of. So we're gonna completely start from scratch. I'm gonna rescan all of these books, which as you can tell, it's a lot. I have books stacked on top of each other, wedged in. I have books on another bookshelf across from me that you don't usually see in my videos. And then I do have some bookshelves in our bedroom, and they're not matching bookshelves. They're ones that I had before Charles and I moved in together. I also have books as well. So this is gonna be a very time-consuming task, which is why I gave myself a little bit more wiggle room to not have this video out when I normally do. I'm gonna start from the top, and I'm hoping that when I go and do this, I can go and kind of rearrange a lot of my books, get them to fit a little bit better, and categorize them in a way that's actually going to make sense more to my brain. So I'm really excited for this, but like I said, it's going to be very time consuming. I also do have a ladder, so I'm not going to be precariously balancing on the back of my reading chair. So I'm gonna stop yapping and we're gonna get started and work on this. This probably isn't going to be a bookshelf tour video. This is more so going to be just categorizing, cataloging all of my books and giving you a count at the end of the video. So if you do want a more thorough bookshelf tour, definitely let me know down in the comments below, because if I were probably to do both in this video, it would be way too long and would probably be a bit of a pain to edit. So we're gonna separate these two videos, if anything, if that is something that you're interested in. But with that being said, I'm gonna get started and start with the very top of my bookshelves. I forgot to mention I will also be dusting, and while I'm going and doing a lot of this as well, I will be unhauling books, but you probably won't see that on this video, but I'm just giving you a heads up. I do plan on removing books, so they will not be added to the total count at the end of this video either. Now that I got a lot of those books down, I'm gonna go and scan them before I go and put them back up there. A lot of these books that I went and brought down are ones that I got from the Colorado Springs Book Bash, and there are a lot of indie authors in these piles, so I kind of want to keep them a little bit separated. I would like to eventually have more of like a trophy shelf for them, but for now they're going up on the very top of my bookshelves, but I'd like to eventually get them lower down so that they're more accessible for me to get to. I think also while I'm doing this, I'm gonna actually pull up an audiobook. I have been really bad about listening to any books and really finishing any books. At this point of me making this video, I have not finished a single book this month. So I'm gonna go and listen to Your Sister. I'm 70% of the way through, and I think while I'm going and getting these books done, it will really help me listening to something and keeping me a little bit more focused, because I don't do the best when I have a lot of blank sound. I tend to get more easily distracted, so having something to listen to will keep me more on task. Hello, so I will be calling it. As you can see, everything is pretty organized and done on these bookshelves back here, but I have been going for around six hours organizing my bookshelves, logging all of those books. Right now we're sitting at 577. I have yet to go and do my other bookshelf that's over here that has the romance books and a lot of my arcs, as well as the bookshelf that is in our bedroom. So there's still plenty of books to go and log. Like I said, right now it's standing at 577. I haven't factored in all of the books that I have read yet at this time, so the count is not split up the way I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, but I am exhausted, I am sweaty, I would like to go and take a shower and also relax a little bit because I work tomorrow. So this will probably be filmed over the course of a couple of days because I bit off more than I can chew, and this is a lot more than I'm able to go and handle. So plus side is those bookshelves look amazing. They are super organized. I don't have as many books stacked on top of each other, so that is amazing. I think too, while I was going and doing a lot of that stuff, I didn't really go through the books that I'd like to keep or get rid of. Granted, I feel like a lot of those books that I don't want to hold on to aren't really on these bookshelves, and they're more so on my other ones, but I will probably be doing that stuff after I'm off work and going and cataloging the books that way, and then I will check in with you later and go and give you the counts. But holy crap, I'm exhausted. So I'm gonna sign off now so I can go and take a shower because I am so sweaty and I would just like to not feel gross and disgusting. So I'll chat with you when I start doing the other bookshelves.
Baby.
Nuggy Nugs. Alright, here is my other bookshelf. So up here we have a lot of my arcs and some other books that I have received from publishers. And then we kind of have a mixture of my romance books over here. Down here, still romance, but a little bit more of the nerdy stuff. A lot of my comic books. A Cicero. And then we have some manga over here, and then a little bit of more realistic romance, as well as like influencer or celebrity books over here. And then also a stack of a lot of the arcs and publisher books I've received that I haven't been able to put on these shelves. So we are going to also be organizing these, documenting them. You also see a bunch of decorations that I'd like to put up on the wall, but I haven't had the chance to do so, and I haven't really been inspired to do it either. But we're gonna work on this corner next. Lots and lots of books, y'all. And some of them just don't have barcodes, or the barcodes don't work. And so that's what's making it a little bit more tedious and not as easy to do as I originally was thinking.
There's the boys. Hi, Finn. You're so handsome.
But now we have this bookshelf all organized. So up here we have a lot of my arcs organized in the order of when they release. And then it continues down to here. And then a lot of these books up here are books that I've received from publishers, so they're finished editions. And then I have my romance books over here, a few books from publishers as well, right up to here. And then either creators, actors, books from those people here. I'm utilizing some weights as some bookends. I did have more books that were on the shelf, but I moved them into the bookcase in our bedroom. So that's where all that stuff is, and then I have some of my bookish totes here. But so far, this one is done, so we just have the bedroom bookshelves left. Okay, so you're now getting into our bedroom. And here we have some of the other books I have that are kind of hidden away. These ones actually were on the bookshelves in my romance area, but I moved them over into here because I needed more space for all the other publisher stuff. So that is why I have these books over here now. And then I have a lot of other miscellaneous ones. So I moved my comic books over here. So this bottom shelf has been scanned. And then I have childhood books, poetry books, everything like that. Some of my tarot cards. So I need to go and organize and document all of these books now. But like I said, this bottom one has already been counted. And then these ones all have not. But I am planning on seeing which ones I would like to unhaul. These boxes here, we'd actually like to go and get rid of. We were just unpacking other things because we did move in last year, but we've kind of had issues with storage and having places to put things. So those will just need to get tossed out the next time our recycling gets picked up. So that's why they're currently hanging out in here, because our recycling bin is currently full. But I'm gonna go and scan all of these, and then hopefully after I finish all of this that's in here, you will get a full count and we will break down things on how many books I have, also how many are left unread, all of that stuff. All right. Hi, everyone. So I have finally finished going and scanning all of my books. Holy crap, that was such a process and took quite some time to go and complete. So I am going to now go through all of my books and I'm going to go and rearrange some things. So let me switch over the other screen so you can see what I'm doing. So here we are. You're seeing my books. Everything's all logged in and everything. So I can scroll down and it has everything alphabetized, which is so great. But I discovered something a little bit earlier, and what I can go and do is I can go and do some filters. So the great thing here is that you can't see because my lovely face, my lovely oily face is in the way. So I can basically go in and show which books I've already completed, and that is beautiful. So what I'm going to go and do before I give you the count, and I love right now that my actual count is hidden so that I'm not accidentally giving you spoilers, because I want to give you that information at the end. I want to give all the numbers at the end once everything's all figured out. So I'm going to mark the books that I've already read. I don't think I'm going to do any sort of numbers as far as which books I haven't begun yet, which ones I'm in progress. I don't want to do that. I just basically want to know how many books in my collection I have not read yet. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to go and mark some of the books that are arcs as well, because I kind of want that stuff separate too. So I might have the books that are arcs as well as ones I've received from publishers in a totally different category and separate from everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go manually and update a lot of that stuff. And then I'm going to circle back. We're going to go through all the numbers and break things down. And then what I'm going to have y'all do is I'm going to have y'all help me figure out how exactly we're going to go about reading my TBR. I do have my TBR game that is going to be new and improved in January. So that is still going to go and pull books that you're seeing here, and we're going to still read those. But I'm trying to figure out if I want to do Love It or Lose It as books specifically from my arc list, because I do want to be better about reading arcs that I have, whether on NetGalley or they're ones that I've received physically. So that's an option to do for Love It or Lose It. Or we can just go and add all the books from my bookshelves and do Love It or Lose It that way. I don't want Love It or Lose It to be specifically towards the books that I'm iffy about unhauling, because I've noticed I've been less likely to continue on with that series, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually be better about continuing the Love It or Lose It series. So that one's going to get a revamp in January, in the new year. So while I'm going and doing all this counting stuff, I want you to think about this in your head and let me know what you'd like down in the comments below. Think about it, and I'm gonna go and work on doing all the updating and everything. So we will circle back and talk about this soon. Okay, so I'm tuning in because I'm still recording some pieces that I'm doing here. I think with some books that I've read a while back and I'd like to reread them, like the Strange Angel one. I technically didn't finish it now that I think about it. I don't know if I actually did finish this book, but this is going to be a fresh start, so I'm not going to go and mark this one as completed. So there's going to be some things, and I'll remember to mention this hopefully at the end of this video. Oh, this is hard. This is hard. Technically, I have finished that. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do because I want the count to actually be a little bit better. And I know the number is gonna be so high for the books I haven't read. I think I'm gonna mark them as read if I have actually read them. And because like we reread books all the time that we have read before. So I'm gonna go I'm gonna go and mark these books as read, even though it has been a hot minute since I read them, so that I can go and reread them and everything. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for listening to me talk things through. There's something so satisfying though, like looking at all the books this way. I love getting to look at this. Like there's just something that this itches and it's making me so happy and I'm enjoying it. Like just getting to see all this. I didn't know that I was able to do these statuses, tags, things like that. So it's kind of, even though this was so tedious, I do love that I rescanned my entire library so that I could do this. And I feel like it's a lot easier to do it on PC just with all the statuses and things like that. Just seeing it on a bigger screen to be a little bit more nitpicky on how I want things to look. So yeah, I'm loving this. Okay, we are done. I am done organizing everything. Holy crap, that was definitely a lot. So now I can go and basically tell you everything that we have. I have scanned all of my books. Granted, there might be a couple that maybe I might have missed for whatever reason. I really tried my hardest to go and make sure that I scanned every individual book. The only exceptions for this were I had some really thin comics, and for those, they basically are like the tiny little issues that aren't added to the full comic book. So I didn't scan those tinier ones. I didn't scan a few really thin poetry slam books that I got when I used to go to poetry slams. Some poets there would go and sell their work. I didn't document those ones. And then any tarot books that I had, I didn't document those either. Another set of books that I didn't do were some of my kid books. So if they weren't chapter books, I didn't go and do those. So I had one book, Stand Tall, Molly Lou Mellon. I didn't go and do any of those really thin kid books that I had. Those I didn't include in this. If they were chapter books or manga or comic books, then they were included. You can see over on the side, I have a total of 857 books. So I think the threshold to be considered a library is to have 1,000 books. And maybe I would have been a little bit closer to this number if, like I said, I would have done my tarot books and my individual kid books that weren't my rule of being chapter books to be included in this. So I would have probably had even more books, but I wanted my number to be more of like the chapter books and those types of things for this count. So with those exclusions, my total is 857 books. And as you will see on the side, I discovered this really cool thing where I was able to go and establish statuses for my books. So let's ignore the not begun one because I accidentally mismarked that one and I was trying to go and remove the status and it wouldn't let me do that. I had to have some status established to the book. So I don't know if that counts the not begun book with a no status. So I'm just going to go and add it there just to be on the safe side. So the amount of books that I have not read in my collection is 653. I do have some books that I have additional copies for. So for example, A Forbidden Alchemy, I have an ARC, but I also have a special edition of that book. So that number isn't exactly 100%. I feel like that gives me a better target, a better idea of the amount of books I have not read. Same thing with Completed being 205. I have 5 editions of Out on a Limb. I've already read that book, but because that's a book that is my prized possession, I have been collecting every single edition I have of it. And yeah, I probably could have decided not to go and log my additional copies of books for this total count, but I wanted that included in my total count of all the books I have. So now you're kind of seeing there's a few exceptions to these exact numbers I have. And then another piece that I did here, I added tags. So as you can see, I have a total of 36 arcs here, and there's a few arcs in this amount that I have actually read. So you'll see here that King of Ashes was actually an arc that I did complete and finish reading. So there's that information there. And then I have 89 books total that I've received from publishers. And this is also including the arcs as well, because I established both of those tags to books. But if they were specifically an arc, then they'll have the arc tag. And if not, then they'll just have the publisher mail tag. I got a lot of satisfaction with going and documenting and labeling a lot of these books and everything and splitting them up in those key pieces. So this is really great to go and look at for me. I plan on going and being a lot better about keeping this updated, going and scanning new books whenever I get them, whether or not they're an ARC or publisher mail or a book that I go and purchase myself. I do want to go through this and fix a few pieces because, as you'll see here, some books, for whatever reason, when I scanned them, they didn't actually scan the cover, and I don't like that. I'm a very visual person, so I'm gonna go and fix that and make sure that information's on there. For other books, for whatever reason, possibly because they were a special edition, they don't have a working barcode. So I had to manually enter those as well. So I want to go and update that information and make it a lot more accurate. Here's a great example. So the Scorpion Queen, for example, I got it from a secondhand store, but it was an L Crate version. And because it was a special edition, it does not have a barcode. So I had to go and manually enter it, go and pull up the ISBN from a different book site so that I could copy it in on there. So there's certain ones like that I want to make sure I have the ISBN on there. I have the book cover, at least in the book edition that I have, just so everything's a lot more factual. And if I'm scanning through this, especially when I'm out at a bookstore and I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure I have this book, but I'm not sure which edition I have, I can easily go and pull up the Libib app and look at it there. So I love this. I love that there's all this extra documentation that I can go and do for a lot of my books, especially when I'm not at home and maybe I'm wanting to show some family member or a friend the books I own. So I love this so much. I forgot to mention at some point, this is not sponsored. I just ended up going and using this because it was a program that I was familiar with, and I used it last year when I had a scanner and wanted to go and scan my entire bookshelf. And you're able to go and scan your own bookshelf if you have a cool scanner like the one I have, or you can easily go and use your own phone. Just make sure you have the app and make sure that it has permissions to use your camera, and then you can go and scan it that way. Or if you want to just enter it manually, you don't want to take a picture, you can do that, but let me just tell you, it will take forever. because the reason this took me so long was because I had special editions and they did not have barcodes and I had to enter them in manually. So yeah, this was a very long project. This took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I was very silly and I was like, yeah, this is going to be super easy, super quick. It's just going to take half an afternoon. No, this took 3 days for me to go and do, which is why I had to delay posting this video for my own sanity. So I'm probably gonna hop off and edit this video so I can go and get it live. But you might remember me mentioning earlier something that I wanted to do with the total amount of my books. So we're still going to do the TBR game, but I'm trying to figure out if I want to do Love It or Lose It, specifically with the 652 books that I haven't read, or if I want to do Love It or Lose It and do it specifically with the arcs that I have, or specifically with the publisher mail. If you have any preference for how you'd like me to do the Love It or Lose It series, definitely let me know down in the comments below. That feedback will really help me figure out what I'd like to do, because if you haven't noticed, I'm a very indecisive person. It is very difficult for me to make a decision, so if I have additional feedback, that helps me kind of figure out, like, all right, I think I want to do this instead of doing this option, and we'll just make it a lot easier time-wise, because I will bounce back and forth between so many ideas until I make a decision, and it could take months. I don't want to do that. I'd rather have a game plan going into the new year. So I hope you enjoyed this video because it took me so long to do. So please maybe go and leave a like, possibly go and subscribe to go and bring that support. And as always, if you don't know what to comment in this video and you made it to the end, leave a stack of books. That will let me know that you are here and I will love you so much for it. But as always, I want to wrap up this video. Hiko's a little bit spicy, but I want to wrap up this video with a reminder to always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.